Hello survivors, and welcome to episode 20 of Ark News. In today's episode, I will be sitting down for a conversation about all things Ark Survival Evolved. So without further ado, let's get started. Obviously, it would be a bit weird if I was going to be having a conversation about Ark Survival Evolved by myself. So, I'd like to introduce my special guest, William.
I'm special. Hello.
Welcome back again.
Let me just land my ride.
Well, it's my ride, but yes, the borrowed ride.
You left it around. It's my ride now.
So true, so true. So obviously, we are sitting down for a conversation about all things Ark Survival Evolved. Obviously, this is mainly because Ark Survival Evolved is going through one of those slow patches of news that, you know, we just doesn't. There's no news. So here we are, sitting down, playing Ark Survival Evolved, to talk about Ark Survival Evolved.
I just have one problem with this sitting down monarchy. You haven't put any chairs in this place.
I know. How ridiculous is that? I mean, we could build some chairs and then sit down.
There you go. I found a chair. I'll sit in the new mechs.
True.
I'll sit in the yellow one.
I mean, the yellow one's for me, really.
Fine.
I do wear yellow all the time.
I'm going the Gigabuster Mark III. There we go.
True. Yeah, I don't, and no one's really seen the other Gigabusters to work out why that's called that yet.
True. No one has actually. Why are they called Gigabusters?
Yeah, that's coming in a very, very later on Ark Highlights episode. Why are they called Gigabusters? Why do we call the mechs these things? Anyway, no one's here to see us, you know, do all this.
No, there might be, but it's not the plan.
No, it's not. They're here to hear us talk about all things Ark Survival Evolved, really. And, you know, let's talk about the first thing, which is, you know, the reveal that Wildcard have made, which is that Ark Survival Evolved and Ark 2, when Ark 2 is eventually released, of course, you know, we know it's going to come in 2022, and we all know how amazingly reliable Wildcard are with release dates. Um,
So amazing.
yeah. Nothing against them with release dates. We appreciate that things can be difficult, especially now in COVID times. But Ark Survival Evolved and Ark 2 will both be still supported at the same time. And we both said when we were planning this how unusual that is for game developers to have their sequel and their first game playable at the same time. Usually, as we both said, they forget the first game goes and they just focus on the sequel.
Yeah, as a general rule, when most second or sequels or prequels of games appear, the older copy tends to lose favoritism quite quickly. They tend to supporting it. No more updates for the game, and then the game stays in the same condition it was when, obviously, the new game came out.
Yeah, that is very true. I mean, I've only known of one game brand that has kept their prequel and sequel games alive at the same time, and that was Transformers: War for Cybertron and Fall for Cybertron. And if you're fans of that game franchise, you'll know that those servers were pulled very recently because of Activision's more popular games, let's say. But of course, both those games existed at the same time, which is exactly what Wildcard want to do. But of course, Wildcard are a smaller company than Activision and EA and all the larger companies that you would usually forget previous titles, like Call of Duty, for example, where, how many people nowadays play on Modern Warfare 2?
Yeah. I think that may be why Wildcard is doing what they're doing, because let's be fair, Wildcard technically only has, 2 games, where once Ark 2 has been released under its belt. 3 if you count Atlas.
2 and a bit. 2 and a bit. Atlas is very weird.
I mean,
Atlas has a very weird story.
It's not
Wildcard,
sort of, but it's made just down the hallway.
Yeah, it's like next door.
So maybe, obviously, they're doing this because they've only got 2 full games. Well, they would only have 2 full games at the time to, play with, and therefore they can't afford to lose a game just because they brought out the next one.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's the only reason I can think of at the top of my head. But then, of course, I'm not in game development.
Neither of us are. And I completely agree with you. There is a interesting thought with that sort of says, oh, they want to have both. That seems okay. They're a small company.
I mean, the only other thing I can think of is Ark 2 is going to be so grossly different from Ark 1. Oh,
damn!
You did fall off.
Yes. We were just having a conversation about that before the stream.
Yeah. The Ark 2 is going to be so grossly different from Ark 1 that I feel like it's almost a completely different game.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, I don't see it being much of a different game. But that's the only thing.
I see it being vastly different to what we have now. In terms of building, in terms of everything we do now, will be very different. Whether the same, I see the idea being the same. I see the way we do it being different. That's how I feel. So there'll be things, we'll still have building, we'll still have taming, we'll still have everything that Ark does.
So your prediction is it will stay as a sandbox survival game?
I think we're going to get my prediction will always be, we are going to get an open sandbox game, but we are also going to get a campaign mode that is separate to the game entirely. Because I can't see how they can fit Vin Diesel in when the character creation is such an integral part of the game to so many people. So,
when it's Vin Diesel, he'll probably be, voicing a dinosaur about the level of his range in it.
Well, in my personal opinion, from the trailer we've seen, and from my knowledge of the character, because I obviously, as you know, I am steeped in the Ark lore, so I know the character he's playing.
Oh, we've gone to warp.
Yep. The only plausible explanation would be that we are going to see a separate campaign mode, along with the open sandbox we all know and love, which means the menu will have a new option to say play campaign. Unless,
of course, there will be areas of the map that will link to cutscenes.
Yeah, I guess but then to then have Santiago, to then just have Vin Diesel just for cutscenes. I don't know. For me, and also with Genesis Part 2, the way Genesis Part 2 has been done now, where the mission areas are so separate as well, because every mission is in a separate area, which leads me to believe that could be a link to what they want to do in the future with these, which could mean that they want to have a separate campaign, because that could be the whole, it could take place in the same map that you play in, but you get to have the missions as well.
Yeah, I mean, there is several ways. I mean, I have seen games that hire like some top talent just to play in cutscenes, and that way it sort of flows together better, because you'll get to a certain stage in the game and Vin Diesel will pop up and say, "Oh yeah, well done for doing that, Survivor. Bloody, bloody, bloody. Here's your next challenge. Bloody, bloody, bloody." Or it will be a story-driven campaign mode where, obviously, as you said, it'll be a separate item on the menu, and
I just don't know whether Vin Diesel is that kind of person, whether that's where the money was, or whether.
To be fair, Vin Diesel turning up in this role, being anything to do with this sort of thing, was a big shock for me anyway.
Huh.
I never thought.
I think it was a shock to everybody who watched that trailer.
Yeah, I think Vin Diesel doesn't spring to mind when you think about this particular sort of activity.
And apparently, he's put several thousand hours into this game.
At least he knows what he's talking about.
And not only that, he's also he's now a creative director on Ark 2 as well, and voicing the same character in the animated series.
Well, yeah, of course, that's something else to discuss, isn't it? The fact that Wildcard is bringing out an animated series.
I mean, we don't even know what although I have a very funny feeling it's either going to be Netflix or Amazon Prime, given the fact that Ark has a global player fan base. I cannot believe that it wouldn't be on a restrictive streaming service. Just going to throw that out there.
No, I agree with you. It will definitely be on one of the global streaming services. Won't be like segregated to one of the regional ones like Hulu,
or HBO Max, or something ridiculous. It's going to be on a global streaming service.
I mean, obviously, I think that'll be Wildcard's plan to obviously get it on a global streaming service. But then, of course, now we're dealing with a completely different kettle of fish, aren't we? We're dealing with executives.
Oh yeah, we're dealing with But even like the developers like the developers of the game have turned into, so all of a sudden, like developers have suddenly turned into people who are now doing animation for the series, which is a very sudden surprise because the developers are now working on the series as well.
But this all has to do with, diversifying your base, doesn't it?
I guess so. Yeah.
There'll be people out here that know Ark very well, and there'll be people that don't know what Ark is, and they may get introduced to Ark via the
show.
Let's remember, Ark did turn up as a early access game many years ago.
2015 it was.
With only one map to its name.
And not even a boss fight.
And not even a boss fight.
Or an ascension.
Yep, none of that. All you tech fans out there, you would have been severely disappointed.
Yeah. It's interesting to note actually, the tech tier came before the boss fight.
Yes, it did.
So they added the tech tier in January 15, then added the boss fight in August. But here's the interesting one. Scorched Earth released before that with a finished boss fight, but no ascension.
Nice. Side note,
so
Scorched Earth was my first map, my first experience of that.
So Scorched Earth was, and this is why everyone has a controversy on Scorched Earth, is because everyone believes Scorched Earth should have a ascension because it's the only one that's missing. So every map after Island that is a DLC has a ascension, so you can track the lore. Scorched Earth doesn't. This is because Scorched Earth was finished before Island's ascension was added, and they started the lore.
But that just screams out that the lore was a secondary to their thoughts.
Or Scorched Earth was actually finished with a finished boss fight, and therefore the ascension wasn't finished. So therefore they thought, oh, let's get the finished thing out there, and let's not do the finished thing, and let's keep working on the unfinished thing. Which, in Wildcard's mind, being such a small company, that's probably what they were thinking.
Maybe. But you got to remember, Scorched Earth was part of the early access.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I think Scorched Earth was more just to keep the fan base interested.
Yeah, I mean, it did. Look what Scorched Earth did. It brought the most famous creature that now Ark could probably not live without.
Well, I don't know. With all the recent introductions of flyers, the Wyvern seems a little bit lackluster nowadays, doesn't it?
It's still the most talked about creature, the still most sought after, the still most... Everyone knows how to get one on Ark, who's played it for a while. Everyone knows how to do it. It's the most... look, here it is. Well, a lightning one anyway.
Don't tell my wife. She'll have a go at me for flying our Wyvern. Oh, bye, Jacob.
I was picked up there. It's still the most... I mean, when I joined, I was gifted one.
Yeah.
That's how this worked. So, and I've done plenty of Wyvern egg going. I mean, it's easier for us on private servers. It's a lot more complicated for anyone on official.
The process is the same, but the problem is once you have a Wyvern, it's very easy to get other Wyvern eggs.
Yeah.
It's
hatching it. It's hatching.
What's hatching?
They need the milk on official.
Oh, yeah, they need the milk on official, yeah.
They can't do it without the milk, where we can.
But yeah, that's because our ones grow up so damn fast. They don't need the milk.
Shh, don't tell everyone our secrets.
Anyone who has a non-official server has done the same trick.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, they've made everything easier. I can't see anyone keeping an official breeding weight.
I could just
Let's be
imagine that
honest.
guy. I could just imagine that guy now. No, we've got to keep it authentic to the Ark experience. 5 days later, he loses his wyvern because he went to sleep.
That's exactly how they sound as well.
Oh yeah. My timing rate and breeding rate are exactly the same as official.
Oh, we apologise if you are that guy.
If you are that guy, get in contact with us.
We can help you set up your breeding rates correctly.
We can help you. You do not have to suffer.
There are places you can go. We're like the BBC. If you've been affected by anything in today's episode of EastEnders, please contact.
If you have been affected by anything in today's Ark news, we surely, well, we find it funny, but we'll try and help, I think.
Oh dear. We wouldn't laugh. We would help first.
That's wrong. We would laugh first, then we would help.
No.
Okay, you would help and then laugh. I would laugh, then help. But the important thing is we would both help.
I think the important message from that is that we would help.
Eventually.
Let's move on before people start to think we're harsh.
Yes.
So let's move on to something a bit more interesting. Let's do a little bit of a what if, and that's not suspicious at all.
No, not at all. I wonder where you can get that idea from.
And I'm going to very quickly move on before someone decides to do any lorting. I'm sure they're already on the phone. How things would have been different if the Genesis Season Pass would never have been released, and instead they focused on Ark 2 like they originally planned. And I'm sure you remember that about this time we did the article that suggested that Ark 2 was being worked on straight after Extinction, because of course they had the money, because Extinction was massively successful somehow. And of
that
course,
map had some interesting
ideas,
and I enjoyed it. Most of it.
I enjoyed most of it. It just yeah. So the difference is that I guess Ark 2, we would have had Ark 2 by now.
Oh, definitely, we would have had Ark 2 at least. It would be it'll be out for probably this Christmas.
Yes, we would have had Ark 2 would have been out. They would have said, "Oh, we now have it out for the Xbox Series S and X." Let's go with that idea, because obviously we know about those consoles now. Although, of course, the unavailability of those consoles would have made that difficult for everybody to swallow. But, of course, it would have been made for those consoles in mind. I guess there would have also been the Unreal Engine 5 stuff as well. That's now out. William has now found the super jump ability on the Exomech that gives it the superhero landing.
That's killer on the knees.
I think it's killer on the knees, but I think it's really cool.
Put them up. Oh God, what's that? It's deleting things. Jacob, it's deleted something.
No, it's gone into your it's your carry mode.
You can carry things? Oh my good God, don't do it. Go away. You see, I haven't had much experience with these things. Okay.
And now William is running away, leaving the mech on top of here for me to deal with.
Dum-de-dum-de-dum. Whee!
Anyway, while I sort this out and fix everything, of course.
They're just Fix my getaway vehicle. Da, 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 da. Almost on tow.
There we are. That's now fixed. So, yes. It would have been vastly different to have Ark 2 now, I think, without... And also, we wouldn't have had this glorious map.
True. And let's be fair, some of the maps released after Exodus Extinction
Extinction. That Exodus is something else.
True. It's a book in the Bible.
Yes.
You know, there've been some really good maps.
Yeah. I mean, I think any of the free maps would have still happened. Any of the free... Volgaro would have happened, and I think Crystal Isles would have still happened.
Yeah, but I don't think they would have been put into Ark. I think they would have been put into Ark 2.
Yes, this is the interesting thing. So Volgaro and Crystal Isles would have been made for Ark 2 rather than Ark. Or at least, and this is what I'm also thinking, is if Ark 2 does happen, and obviously they are going to continue with Ark Survival Evolved, does that mean that are they going to now make free maps cross over between the two now?
Well, that would be interesting, especially if the playstyles are different.
So, you know, a free map that releases on Ark 2, would that also release on Ark Survival Evolved, considering they're continuing with both? That would continue content, like they want to do.
Yeah.
At least.
Well, they're saying they want to do anyway.
But it's an interesting thought, if that's what they want to do. At least.
I mean, obviously you're missing out the would they still could continue to support Ark now if Ark 2, if obviously these parties were never released, with as popularity as the Extinction map was? So if we're going to play the what if game, let's play it. I mean, let's be fair, Extinction was the turning point for Ark as opposed to what they believed the game could accomplish.
Yeah, I think Extinction was a major turning point in the terms of where it went from... If you're going to do the rock drake, at least make it do the beautiful glide.
I'm working on it. Just jumps.
No, it doesn't. It does the glide.
I'm sure it does. It's been a while since I've ridden a rock drake.
Oh, let me do it.
just get off.
Yeah, if you're gonna use a rock drake, at least make it do the nice glide that it does.
Well, I prefer the wyverns.
Oh,
off he goes, bouncing around.
I can't make it do it. Oh, there we are.
I'm sure you can make it.
I can because I had the training.
The training.
Yeah, I had a very long training session with one of our players who taught me how to do
with your rock drake.
Pretty much, yeah. Carrying on before I get distracted by the rock drake, which I could do.
Anyway, carry on.
That's a whole episode in itself, is just gliding with a rock drake for hours. Yes.
Number one video, rock drake gliding.
Oh, yes. That's a video. What was I saying? I've lost my train of thought. Yes, I think Extinction was the turning point for Ark because they had this... They showed almost, and I think the ending as well, they showed what Ark could be in terms of where they wanted it to end, sort of. But then they sort of went to the point where they sort of said, okay, now we've ended it. You want us to keep going.
It sort of reminds me of a TV show that gets cancelled. And then the fans demanded back. So there's a very well-known animation series that was mainly Sky, and that basically got cancelled 3 times. And every time it got cancelled, the fans demanded to have it back. But every time they finished it, they were like, "Well, here's the series finale."
Yeah.
And that's what Exodus is to me. They were thinking of closing it. They were
Extinction.
thinking, Extinction, and they gave us essentially a finale, and then they're like, "Oh, this did better than we expected. Okay, let's bring it back."
Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty much what happened. It was sort of like, oh, that's gone. That's sold really well. We made lots of money. Oh, let's do another season pass. Let's throw more money everywhere.
You know
we
the old
can.
saying, you've got to spend money to make money.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they've made money with Genesis Part 1 and 2. I'm sure they have.
Well,
Giving us
once you get
long-term
maps like that, most long-term players want to see where the game goes.
I mean, Genesis Part 2 especially, the largest map ever added to Ark.
It's very easy to get lost, yeah.
Genesis Part 2 is larger than Ragnarok.
Doesn't feel larger, but you're flying around.
I think it's because the map is sort of in 2 halves.
Maybe.
Then there's the fact there's the underwater ocean, which in itself is immense. Then there's another underground area on the other side of the map, which again is also immense. So it's mad. And then the sheer scale as well is just crazy. That's how I see it. And yeah. And I think each one of the maps has just got better and better as well. Even the free maps has just got better and better and better in terms of quality.
Oh yeah, definitely. The Genesis Part 1 was a letdown, unfortunately, but they made it up with Genesis Part 2. But other than that, yeah, I believe the maps have gone from strength to strength.
I mean, eventually, I'm going to tease a little something, because I want to. I've been recording a video, as I've been teasing, and Valguero is supposed to have the Northern Lights. And we as a tribe, when we were on Valguero, both myself and the owner said, "Oh, let's go and see if we can see these Northern Lights," and we never saw them. Throughout the entire time we had that server, we never saw them. And when I recorded this video, I said to myself, I'm going to see these Northern Lights even if it kills me. And I've seen them. And it is a sight, because these Northern Lights cover the map. They do not just appear in the north, it is the entire map.
I actually wonder why it's taking us so long for us to see them then. And
the reason they don't appear is because they're bugged on console.
Of course they are.
Which is really annoying. But
they work on... we play via console.
We play on console, but they work perfectly fine on single player when you enter a certain command. Which, of course, which as we all discovered, I was controlling the weather for this certain video, and time.
Time is our master.
Which I can't do on our private servers, because it does really mess up time. It really does. If it's night, it will turn it into, when you start time again, it turns it into day. So it's very odd.
Yeah, the birds get all screwed up. The beavers come out of the ground. It's terrible stuff.
Yeah, it's not something we can do on private servers, but it was very helpful to actually get the Northern Lights, and they are generally amazing. And it was it was very nice to see them.
Yeah,
so when that video comes out, everyone will get to see the Northern Lights. But of course, as I say, for me, that was a very special privilege to actually be able to go, and it was something I set out to do, was to capture the special things about some of these maps that perhaps not everyone knew about, which was, because each map has something special about it. Ragnarok with the volcano, for example, that's the only map so far with an active volcano.
That's beautiful when that erupts, especially at night.
Yeah. There are other ones that are very, special. I mean, Aberration is another one that is the only map that technically shouldn't have flyers. You can't fly on that map at all.
No, but that map is basically all underground, isn't it?
Yeah, it's technically a whole cave. Then there's, Extinction again. That's another map that's got some very special things, some very special creatures. And that was the Velonosaur as well.
Oh, the Velonosaur. That
was
overpowered creature.
Yes, it was a nice creature to return to in film. So each map has a unique thing about it, and it is amazing to go back and see these creatures and in their own elements as well, because of course we don't get to see that very often.
Here we have the David Attenborough of Ark. The Velonosaurus in his natural habitat.
I did feel a little bit like that, I have to be honest. It was,
And Sir Attenborough, if you're watching, I mean no offence.
Yeah, and again, we also know from the article that Wildcard make their money from DLC content, which of course has given us some fantastic maps and creatures and weapons and all sorts of things. But of course, we can expect this from Ark to continue with Ark 2, because it is how Wildcard make their monies and pennies.
Yes, I'll be glad that they didn't decide to make them via microtransaction.
Oh, they can't stand microtransactions. They stand against it.
And I can only tell, and I'm only happy they do so, because let's be fair, a lot of games that make money once you've bought them will make money via microtransactions, loot crates and things like that.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it's a complete rip-off. And it's bloody annoying, because then you're just paying to win. And I'm so glad that the makers of Wildcard have decided not to fall into that horrible trap.
And it was very easy with some games to slip into that trap as well.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean,
because that's where all games are going.
They could easily microtransaction their way through the game,
Yeah.
Especially on official servers,
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Instead
Why don't you pay $9.99 for this already prepared hatched wyvern egg?
Yeah, you can wait 5 days for your wyvern egg to hatch and stay awake for those 5 days, waiting and giving it milk. Or, and hear me out, you can pay $9.99 to just have a wyvern appear.
Yeah. That's it. That's exactly what we're talking about here.
And the Rex alone is 4 days worth of work. Okay, you don't have to go out and get milk for it, but it's still 4 days of your life.
What was it? What was it? It was 100 something was 10 days when I did my video. What was 10 days? Was it a giga, I think?
10 days is a giga, yeah.
Yeah. So you could pay $15.99 and have a giga.
Heck, let's go even more, Pay us £20 and we'll give you the Dino Starter Pack.
Yes. And, I know. And let's go one more. Pay us $49.99, because obviously everything is 99. And
of course.
We will throw in the Dino Starter Pack and a tamed Titanosaur.
Now, for an extra $1.99, we'll give you the Survivor Starter Pack.
Ah, yep, that's the one. That's the one.
And I'm just so glad Wildcard didn't fall into this trap.
Oh yes, aren't we just?
Because I am sure I'm not alone to be the first person that would have just instantly uninstalled the game and never came back to it.
I mean, if they do ever come back to it, I mean, watch this video because we've just given you some business ideas.
Yeah, Wildcard, if you ever start microtransactions, my lawyers will be in touch.
Yeah, yeah. If you ever do it and we see any of those ideas, we will be in touch. Because we had the idea first.
Absolutely.
However, we know you won't be because you, you stand against it. But of course, we do know you'll be doing DLCs. So the curious thing is I mean, what can they do next? I mean, they've... I mean, what? They've had a desert map. They've had almost everything. I mean, the only things left are a complete map underwater. I mean, they can't do that now. They can't do a map underwater because, sadly, a certain sister company of that has stolen that idea. I can't think who that might be.
Well, it's not really underwater, is it? And that particular game you're speaking of, although
It was supposed to. It was supposed to be
an Ark map, it's completely changed its themes. Even though if you play it, you could definitely tell the Ark influence.
Yeah. Yeah, Backtracking definitely isn't using Rockwell assets.
But then, of course, you've got there's another game where you're basically completely underwater. It isn't one of Wildcards.
Oh, I've played that game.
Yeah.
And it's really good. And Subnautica.
Yeah.
Because I've also got the DLC for that, which is where you play in a snow-covered version. By the way, if you like survival games and are into underwater stuff, Subnautica is very good. Not that I'm saying Ark isn't very good, but Subnautica is very good too.
You can't really do an underwater map because there's obviously two games.
Yeah, but they could do. I mean, Subnautica. You know, I would love to see I would love to see a tech submarine.
Maybe. Ark could do their own versions of it.
They've already got the underwater containment units, which, you know...
I mean, let's be fair, we can have a complete space map. I mean, I know Genesis Part 2 has the space biome.
Which you can't build in, which is very disappointing.
But maybe they could have a space
Not that I'm bitter
map.
about it at all. Oh, space
map,
yes.
Where, I don't know, due to some law in the game, then Diesel and Co. is thrown into space via decompression on a traveling somewhere, and you have to try and survive in space. I mean, we already have several space creatures, obviously the void worm, the astro dolphin, the space whale.
They would have to be creatures that provide you with an oxygen field. So, really, the Astrodelphus, the Astrosutus, the mechs would be fine. I think the tech suits would be fine. Really, you're going to have to start getting other creatures.
You would have to start with a tech suit rather than just naked.
Oh yeah, it would have to be like Genesis Part 2. You'd have
that's the only way to do that, but yeah, and instead of building a shelter, you gather resources to build a ship, maybe.
I also like Subnautica's idea of, rather than building parts to build a structure, you build the structure itself.
No, I do like the part idea because it just makes things more customizable.
Yeah, I kind of want to have... I wish Wildcard would sort of have both, kind of, because I really like the options.
Maybe they could do that. Maybe they could bring that in.
Yeah,
optional
that would be
building methods.
That would be really interesting to see.
But I prefer customized.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't want to have not have that, but just as an option to have like you know, an already prepared unit that you could build you could just get the resources for and make would be quite interesting.
Yeah, and other than that, we could have different planet maps, I suppose, where they would
Yes,
throw you into very hostile environments.
I've had a thought. What about returning to Earth post-extinction?
Wasn't that the... Oh, well, after... Yeah, you could do, I suppose.
Yeah. What happened after extinction happened?
True.
That could be an interesting... that could be fun. What happened afterwards?
Hmm.
You know.
There's many avenues that Wildcard can explore.
Hey, maybe that's the story that they're going to tell.
Maybe.
Oh, have I just cracked their law? The next part of the law, returning to Earth.
Maybe.
I'd hate that. That would be. I'd hate it to be that simple and easy to predict.
It would be very easy to predict, but it's something they could do.
True.
Not that I think they will. I don't think we're going back to Earth anytime soon.
Does seem a bit cheesy.
Yeah. Especially as at the moment we're on a spaceship. That
Leaving
goes to
Earth.
warp it. Yeah, leaving Earth. I don't see we're going. I don't expect us going back there.
Seems a bit of a long way now.
Maybe that might be Ark 3.
Ha!
Ark 3,
Sorry.
the journey home.
Sounds like another film.
Alright, they could get David Tennant back, Vin Diesel back, it'd be great.
Yeah, they could get everyone back. Yeah, let's get everyone back for that.
Yeah, if
So-
you half played in Ark, come on back.
Yeah, if you're coming back. Speaking of Ark and everyone doing voice acting, wasn't sure if you're aware that the voice actors from Genesis Part 2 re-recorded all the lines. So the extinction cutscene was re-recorded by the new voice actor for HLNA and Helena. And David,
Okay.
and not the Master Controller for Genesis Part 1, but all of the HLNA lines in Genesis Part 1 were re-recorded by the new voice actor in Genesis Part 2.
Yeah.
Because that same voice actor will be playing will be playing Helena in the animated series. So now all of Ark's lore is connected to the animated series now.
Which means maybe we'll have to watch the animated series to
Essentially speaking, the animated series is focusing on Helena and her story. So, effectively speaking, we're going to get her backstory. To use a term that is from something else.
But it could be the anime will be predicting future gameplay.
Yes, that's sort of. I have a funny feeling. Not only will it be going back, but I think it might be going also predicting future events as well. But yes, that's interesting. So with Ark 2 sort of coming, it seems everyone's relying on this extra life stream, which should be happening October, November time. Which usually Wildcard do an announcement on, much like they did for Genesis Part 2 and Part 1 and Extinction and other things before. It's a very nice charity stream. I recommend you go and make sure you check that out because it's really good. But it seems very unlikely from a marketing point of view that it would be about Ark 2. Given the fact that the game may not be releasing until the latter half of 2022, I would assume that there would be another trailer, perhaps featuring more gameplay, with a release date and the game consoles it would be playable on, and possibly another trailer for the animated series, again with the same release date and where to watch it. But that would be my assumption about what the extra live stream would focus on. I think they would focus on something else rather than Ark 2, because I think Ark 2 is so possibly far away that from a marketing standpoint it would be sort of not right to set everything in stone and reveal everything. Then I think another trailer would be the right way to go, because there are so many unanswered questions, particularly about release dates and consoles, because that's the biggest question at the moment on everyone's mind because of the confusion out there at the moment about the consoles. Is what console will it be playing on? Will it be playable on? And I think the
If
best way.
Wildcard wants to keep the majority of its market, it will still be across the older generations of consoles plus the newer generations of consoles. But
Well,
the older generations of consoles just won't play it as well as the newer generations.
That is my feeling. The issue is, which is fair enough, the issue is, which is, whoa!
Oh, how did he get in?
I know, that just came out of nowhere. We can deal with him.
Oh, don't kill him. He's a little sweetie pie. There he goes and shoots him.
Yeah, problem is, he's fast.
I don't even know where he's gone.
Okay.
But he's in the bay. He's obviously freaked out. He's not going to be a harm to it. He's not going to start eating anything, is he?
Yeah, they will when they're...
That's a shame. You're not going to get him.
Are you sure about that?
Well, you've taken about 5 pot shots at him and he's still swimming around quite happily.
Anyway, yeah, I think the reason why there is a controversial thing with the console, which console is Ark 2 coming on, is there is a confusion on 2 Twitter posts made. There's another developer who are helping on Ark 2 who made a post who said that it's going to be playable on Windows 10,
right,
Xbox Series X, and Xbox Series S.
Right.
Then Wildcard posted saying it's going to be available on PC. No, Microsoft's developer said PC. No, the Microsoft developer said Windows 10, Xbox Series X, Series S. That's it. Then Wildcard said PC, Series X, Series S.
Right.
Now, the reason why I'm saying we don't know, and why I don't trust the Microsoft company, is because in Ark's lingo, PC means Steam, and Windows 10 means Windows 10. They separate the two. Now, the Microsoft developer also might have a point with saying it's Windows 10, but here's my point of view, and this is the honest point of view. We really don't know anything until it's confirmed by them. So the idea would be is that to wait until it's confirmed, and I really think there would be another trailer, because from a marketing point of view that seems to just make more sense. There's another trailer coming, but yeah, it's just the confusion is out there, and it's a heap of mess. And Wildcard aren't saying anything about Ark 2, refuse to say anything about Ark 2, and that's the state of Ark 2 at the moment. Is it's quiet.
No, but that's clever.
I think that's clever. I think it's clever.
Now they've got all these people wondering, which keeps all the buzz going. The minute they come out and confirm it is the minute people, oh, it's been confirmed now.
Yeah, that it might be clever, but it could also, the longer it waits, the longer people question, which on both things could be detrimental. But
True.
I guess any publicity is good publicity, I guess.
If people are talking, then it's getting publicity.
Yeah, which I guess is a good thing in a view.
There we go. Got it gliding now.
Hooray! You've
And I crash into the water. Brilliant. There we go.
I saw that. That's on camera.
Good. I'm glad that's on camera.
It's 250 quid.
250 quid excess.
Yep.
If you had a race dragon that's been in an accident and it wasn't your fault.
I wonder what the insurance is on a rock drake.
What are we going, third party fire and theft or fully comprehensive?
Maybe fully comp, because I guess it glides.
Yeah, it's got to go fully clumped, isn't it? Because,
Yeah, I guess so.
But it's going to have to be expensive, isn't it?
Just on a point of order, I've never run out of things on my list of topics to cover.
Oh dear, you run out of things.
Yeah,
So I'm guessing that's a natural ending point then.
Well, it doesn't feel natural. It feels like I've forced us to end.
Well, if you run out of things to talk about, then...
My list has come to an end. We're at an hour as well, which is, half an hour longer than we wanted to be as well.
True.
But hey, we said that as well.
We did say it was going to be a long one.
Yeah, we did. Although I wish I warned people at the start now.
We can warn them now, but it seems a little bit, late.
By the way, guys, it's going to be a long episode, so prepare to have tea and popcorn. There, I feel better. Now. I've warned everybody.
This episode may be longer than usual.
Yeah.
Side effects may include time going past longer than usual.
I feel better now that I've warned everybody.
Brilliant,
at the end.
Have you ever had the saying closing the gate after the horse has bolted?
Well, yes and no.
Well, in this case, closing the gate after the equine's bolted.
It could be worse. That's how I'm gonna. That's what I'm gonna say. That's all I have to say.
True.
Anyway,
it could be 3 hours long.
Yes, at least we weren't that. Anyway, I believe you have some news to share for a change.
Oh yes, I do.
Seeing as we're at the ending point.
We are at the ending point.
Oh dear.
Ladies and gentlemen of Ark News, I am happy to report that I have started a Let's Play of...
We'll be starting a Let's Play soon.
Yeah,
it's
we'll
coming
be
soon.
I started. Coming soon to a cinema near you. Or a YouTube channel near you.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I will be starting a Let's Play of Ark on Ragnarok.
Yes.
On a single player server, which has been slightly augmented to make sure I don't spend hours doing one thing. And that will be coming on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So,
it's exciting
yay!
News. Hooray!
Well, I'm excited.
We're all
yes,
excited. I'm excited too. It's exciting times.
Exciting times ahead.
It is. It sure is. It is exciting times ahead. It is. It truly is.
It truly is.
Yeah. So, with that, that's all for this episode. Make sure to look out for the next episode of Ark Highlights, Building on Ark. Also, please to make sure...
Thank you to anyone who made it this far.
Yes, if you've made it this far, congratulations. Have a cookie. Also, please make sure to check out the next episode of Ark News, episode 21, for a Community Crunch Roundup. Haven't done one of those for ages. If you have any questions or anything in today's episode, Please please do not post why was this episode so long.
I was looking forward to do that. Comments are really good for the algorithm.
That doesn't exist yet, or anything Ark related, then please comment or don't. Make sure to hit that notification bell, ding, to stay up to date with the latest videos. Make sure to subscribe for more Ark news and videos.
And let's plays.
And now let's plays, and hopefully we'll see you next time, survivors, if you're still there.